Welcome to the pilot episode of the Every Other Monday show, where we look at the pertinent news and gaming and tech in the last 2 weeks and bring it to you, as the title says, every other Monday. Zanadra, say hi. Introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Zanadra, UK-based gamer. Largely play video games pretty much the entirety of my lifetime. Predominantly console player, moving through Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, anything console-based. I've probably had my hands on it in my lifetime.
And absolutely cracked at Space Marine 2, and you'll be our main source of news when it comes to things like GeForce Now.
Yep, that'll be me.
All right. So in terms of what we've been playing lately, I mean, obviously I've got Space Marine 2 on the channel. Got back into BF6 because the introduction of Obliteration is a stupid amount of fun. It's basically a multi-flag capture the flag kind of a thing where you get the thing, take it to an opposing MCOM, defend the MCOM, explosions happen, hooray, you win. And then Cairo Bazaar just came back, which was a very epic map from BF3, and they made a few changes to it, like adding extra flanking routes and whatnot, but it still very much still captures the essence of what made that map amazing. So I've been spending quite a bit of time in there. I tried Mina the Hollower. We shut up, phone. I tried Mina the Hollower, but if you caught that stream, well, that didn't go particularly well. We did not bring the bonks, in fact.
No, I think that's the first anti-bonk game I've ever seen in your stream.
Yes, the anti-bonk game, yes. In terms of stuff that's coming up soon, I saw Witchfire just got an update. I'm excited to check that out. I might reach out to those devs and see if maybe they'll give me a save that's actually at endgame and go from there. What about you?
So for me, largely Path of Exile 2. So since the new patch rollout, I've been going through a good number of different build types. I've got a couple of different characters in endgame. Few bugs have stalled a couple of them, but largely still having a lot of fun with the different build types. It's cool.
Were you ever able to solve the disconnect problem you were having, or is that still a thing?
So server issues far less now, which is good. Main issues I've got at the moment is my mercenary unloads his crossbow whenever he rolls, which is a little tense in boss fights, to say the least. And I've got a Pathfinder, which, considering the Game 1 controller is a twin stick shooter, the second stick in the twin doesn't actually aim. So, little
minor details, right?
Minor details. Currently going through as a Spell Totem Druid, which can actually melt my PS5, so that also might need to be calmed down a little bit. In between that, I have also been jumping on Control in readiness for Resident, obviously coming out in September, so jumping on very early on that. And with some of the other stuff around Final Fantasy, I've also picked up the Rebirth on PS5, which I'm giving it a go.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything in particular you're excited about in the next couple of weeks?
So one thing I'm looking forward to in the next couple of weeks is the Star Fox remake. Quite attached to the original, so I'm hoping that this one's going to capture the magic just as much. I know there is some controversy around the character models, but I'm still really looking forward to it, especially since the Blue Sky stuff also kind of really sparked that appetite as well. I was looking forward to Impulse until recent streams.
Yeah, that Impulse, we don't talk about that. It was so disappointing. With Star Fox, though, eventually I'm going to wind up needing to buy a Switch too. But there just aren't enough titles on there yet to warrant $450 for me.
No, I completely understand. I mean, even I've only got about 6 or 7 titles for it so far. I'm very awkward when I buy a new console. If it's a Switch 2 game, I will stick to Switch 2 exclusives rather than switch with upscaling. Incredibly first word problem. I'm aware of how I sound, but it's just how I am.
I mean, that's the entire point of having the new console, is playing the new shiny thing, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So how about we hit some headlines, eh? Kicking off the bat here, I saw that Nintendo got slapped with a 35 million euro penalty. French regulator DGCCRF, dear God, that's a mouthful, fined them for quotey fingers misleading commercial practices about Joy-Con drift. Evidently, some internal documents prove that Nintendo engineers identified the issue with the analog stick degradation and how endemic joystick drift would be, but suppressed the data.
So that must have been around the Switch 1 then that they found that out. And it's been, because this was late 2018, I think they found it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think the different iterations of the Switch that they've been out since then.
What's weird to me is I have one of the original first-gen Switches, and I don't have stick drift. But it's not my main console. I've played several hundred hours on it, but I still don't have stick drift, even with like lobbing it in my backpack sometimes. Maybe I got lucky on the like QA lottery.
Maybe, although my original Switch, again, no stick drift. My Switch 2 so far, no stick drift. Could again be QA lucky. I am one of the only recorded people in the world to have a working version of Vista that never caused me a problem. So maybe I just drew some lucky cards.
You just like luck is your pump stat.
Absolutely. Luck and charisma.
As opposed to luck and con on my side.
Yeah.
So evidently, to work around this, EU is going to be manufacturing a completely separate like SKU so that it can play nicely with the right to repair laws out there, specifically for the European markets. Evidently, it's going to have like a user replaceable battery door and some other shifts and improvements, which I am jealous of considering I'm in the US.
I'm equally jealous considering I already have a Switch 2. I'm not sure how accessible or what the massive differences will be compared to it. I mean, I think I've not seen how major the stick drift is on the Switch 2, with it being a little too recent maybe, but I'd imagine it's out there for some people.
Yeah. Especially if it's like your primary gaming device and just like the sheer amount of repetition versus for someone like me who, you know, I will pick up my Switch from time to time, but most of my gaming's done on PC.
Yeah, so, it's good console goal.
I feel like that's going to come hand in hand with how much you actually wind up using the thing. And concurrently about Nintendo, evidently Switch 1 sales in Japan have dropped by like 87% following the price increases that have happened near end of life cycle, which can I just take a second and say it's really weird that as consoles are getting older, they're getting more expensive.
There seems to be a trend. I mean, even older and older consoles, like you say, on even secondhand sites, the price for some of them can be crazy. Like trying to buy the 60 gigabyte PS3 that came with the backwards compatibility specifically.
My PS3 actually still has PT on it.
Well, that is a gold mine you are sat on.
Less than you'd think. Last I saw, it was going for like $250. But okay. I'm keeping it more as like a nostalgia thing for me, because I was profoundly salty at how Konami did Metal Gear Solid 5. So anything that's Kojima coded, I'm a fan of. Other related headlines: California passed the Stop Killing Games bill. The cliff notes for any of you who are unfamiliar: the Stop Killing Games is an initiative that started in the EU Parliament, where it started in the EU Parliament because you actually have consumer protection laws there, where it basically said that you cannot end of life a game without a plan for allowing your users to still be able to access the thing that they purchased. So prominent examples here were like The Crew 2, the driving game. When the servers went down, people were left completely unable to play. But the legislation here says effective January 1st, 27, if a publisher shuts down a game's servers, shut up, phone. I'm just going to put that on silent now. With the California bill in particular says as of January 1st, 2027, if a publisher shuts down a game's servers, they have to provide one of three things to consumers: an offline playable build, or an open source patch for community hosted servers, or a 100% refund of the original purchase price. We'll see how this winds up impacting the overall landscape here, because it exempts free-to-play titles and active live service subscriptions. The Entertainment Software Association is lobbying fiercely to fight this, warning this will cause a subscription-only shift in games, where publishers might permanently abandon that whole buy-to-own digital model, where we purchase a key, which is actually just a license to access the service, and all of that nonsense, because hooray, capitalism.
I mean, it's still got to be a pretty big win for people who find a game, they love a game, but there's that fear that some of the live service games recently have all launched and then disappeared. So being able to still potentially have something that you love in your life, I think it's pretty good.
So I'm one of 4 people on the planet who actually liked Anthem. I would really enjoy being able to just install it and play a run or two and run around with the rocket jetpacks and explode things, but can't anymore. And this bill would fix that.
I mean, a lot of open source servers can be quite a lot of fun. I don't know if anyone remembers the old Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, when that got a public server. The amount of changes and tweaks they did to the main game that just sort of improved on the original, yet still giving it that online presence, was top tier.
Yeah, and that's also kind of what Epic has done with the original Unreal Tournament and 2K3 and 2K4, where they've just released the code now and said, here, it's old, we're not doing anything with it. If you want to set up a server, here's the code, go for it. And being able to do that with other titles as of next year, I think that's going to be huge for game preservation, if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good thing.
Agreed. I saw that Sony has dumped a grip of AAA heavyweights into PS Plus, specifically the extra tier. Usually, the summer doldrums are a thing with games. We're seeing that a little bit in terms of what I'm making videos about. But the June PS Plus is stacked. I think I saw Final Fantasy 16 on June 16th, Sonic and Shadow Generations, KCD, and one of the Life is Strange games, I think.
Yes, Double Exposure, which was a weird game I wasn't expecting to ever exist, considering the ending of the game before it. But, FF16, I've massively been wanting to try that for quite some time, so I was eagerly waiting for it to show up on PlayStation Plus. So this is absolutely great news for me. Sonic game, great fun. Kingdom Come Deliverance, I never actually really tried because it struck me as a keyboard and mouse game, but now I've got a reason to give it a go.
I never played the original, but I tried KCD 2 because everybody was super stoked about it. Slobodan on stream was just no, you have to try it. And then I spent 4 hours blacksmithing. I'm fairly certain I could actually learn how to blacksmith in the time it would take to blacksmith a sword in that game.
I think the majority of anything I've seen on social media recently about KCD2 is just been somebody hammering a sword with some kind of comical music over the top of it. So, I mean, Blacksmith Simulator 2, whenever that comes to PlayStation Plus, I will probably give it a go.
Yeah. You mentioned before we hopped on for the record some pricing changes, rumors with PS Plus. What's going on there?
Yeah, so recently Sony has released some sort of pricing strategy to try and get more money out of their PlayStation Plus subscription tiers. So anyone with an existing PlayStation tier is going to be kind of kept the same, but they're looking to increase the price for new guys coming along. And they're also trying to push people up a few tiers by offering things like, get 3 months of extra by doing this, or move up to premium maybe by just doing this. I think the game is to try and maximize the amount of money they're getting from existing subscribers versus too much of a push to new people. PlayStation Plus has always been one of those ones where you always see monthly feeds like, here's the new games, are you happy with them? And the majority is kind of like,
Meh. Although June in particular, I think I saw Dark Tide is on PS Plus.
Absolutely, Dark Tide. It is installing as we speak once I noticed it was there. So I'm really hoping if they are going to try and maximize the usage out of the people with the higher tier subscriptions, that we do see more of a reason to jump up to those extra tiers. For the most part, the extras just a few extra, like really old PS1, PS2 ports, which some of them, great. A lot of them, it's not really worth the extra cost, at least not to me.
Yeah, there's a few that are cool, but every year I just pick up a Black Friday sale card for 12 months and just forget about it, that subscription every year. Because I'm always going to min-max all the things. So do we want to move on to the main story here with exclusivity nonsense and Bungie continuing to be a bit of a drag on Sony?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So under the new Xbox CEO, Asha Sharma, Xbox is becoming a bit more protectionist, let's say. Despite dropping $20 billion on studio acquisitions and some other hardware subsidies, revenue actually contracted, leaving Xbox at a razor-thin 3% profit margin, which I imagine you're not super familiar with U.S. Treasury bonds or how those work. Microsoft would have made more money if they just spent the entire Xbox budget on 2-year U.S. Treasury bonds. That's madness to think about. For those who are unfamiliar, Treasury bonds are seen as the lowest risk investment, and thusly they have a comparatively lower interest rate that you get from investing in them. But it's certainly more than 3%.
Pretty similar to the cash ISAs and ISAs you hear about over the pond. That is dangerously thin.
Indeed. I'm not sure how this is going to wind up working for them. As part of PC Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass, I'm more familiar with the PC end of it because I don't have an Xbox. Unfortunately, my 360 finally read Ring of Death a few years back, and there aren't really enough exclusives for me to want to pick up an Xbox One. But this year, they're actually not putting Gears of War E-Day, I believe, or the new Call of Duty as day one on Game Pass. So I'm curious to see how that winds up impacting their bottom line, because I imagine they were cannibalizing a lot of their profits with this most recent, what was it, Blop 7, I think, last November. Because if people are just picking up Game Pass and not actually buying Call of Duty, well, people are going to buy Call of Duty no matter what, right? And if Xbox can't count on that revenue, then I understand why they're doing it. It doesn't really impact me because I haven't enjoyed Call of Duty since Black Ops 2. But I can see where this might rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well Blops has been playing or any Call of Duty game since the Warzone split. 'Cause you've got Warzone Vanguard. I can't keep up with what the free-to-play shooters are. I don't know if that kind of divided a lot of the COD players. So, like you say, everyone's probably going to buy COD because it's COD. But if it's no longer going to be free on Games Pass, I wonder if that will actually steer more people towards the more free-to-play friendly versions.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I imagine it'll be February when we find out the impact through leaks or financial reports to see if this actually winds up helping out Xbox's bottom line. Similarly, they're also hard pivoting. E-Day is going to be Xbox and PC only. despite how they've been trying to branch out more and have more titles available on PS5, it looks like all of the first-party titles, at least, are going to be much more exclusive, which I'm not sure how I feel about, honestly. I mean, because it's going to be on PC, that it doesn't really impact me, but I was really enjoying the console wars finally coming to an end. I don't know about you.
No, I was. And to be fair to Xbox as well, recently, a lot of people were giving them credit because Sony kept going, no, behind the wall. But then Xbox was like, hey, look, here's Halo, here's Gear, here's Sea of Thieves. Yeah, have what you like. And now that retraction to it again, where they've also started putting up a wall. It's like you say, it's like everyone's kind of shoring up for the next round of the wars.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. I was so ready for that to be done. I was a Nintendo 64 kid, and then there were like the PS1 and PS2 kids, and it's just like ne'er the twain shall meet. It was just madness.
No, same. I love my 64 straight onto the GameCube. Great fun. Great fun.
Speaking of Xbox, I heard there were like massive rounds of layoffs for publishing and marketing divisions. That's going to be July 1, I think. And then we also recently got the news about Ninja Theory and a couple of other studios. Yeah,
Ninja Theory, big sad for me. Absolutely massive Devil May Cry DMC fan. Not everybody's favorite game. Probably is mine between that and DMC3. I'm really sad. That means we probably won't get a sequel ever. I was kind of holding on to that last ray of hope. But then we had Senua. Sorry.
No, I think DMC is like really underrated. Like a lot of people didn't like the new version of Dante, but it was so good. Like it was mechanically crisp. It knew what it wanted to be. It leaned in, and if nothing else, I can appreciate a game that knows what it's about and leans in.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll forever hold a candle in my heart. And then, obviously, Ninja Theory recently announced Senua, the third one in the series, which is now, I guess, kind of up in the air. I don't know what that actually does to that announcement.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with the second one, honestly. I'm all about a walking simulator that's very, like, environmental ambience and storytelling and all of that, which is what the first one was, and it was perhaps the best representation of mental illness I've ever seen in media. But the second one, like, I was expecting a lot more out of it, and we instead got more of the same. And maybe my expectations were out of whack, but it was just kind of meh. So I can understand why, maybe that announcement, which is rumored to be like digging out investors, might not have excited people as much as it otherwise could have.
Yeah. Then I saw who else was up for there. There was Compulsion, which We Happy Few, I was never a massive fan of. I remember playing the early access thinking, oh, this could go somewhere. And then the game finally came out, and my thought was, well, that didn't go anywhere. But Out of Midnight, I quite enjoyed that. Really good game. So, again, sad for the people at Compulsion that they're gone. And Double Fine was the third. I'm not familiar with too many of Double Fine's catalog, but Double Fine was also up there. I saw their reaction on their Twitter page was just like a sad face emoji. That was literally it.
That's one way to announce that, I suppose. Double Fine was Psychonauts, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Oh, wow. That's the big one to drop then.
We need to ask the internet here.
Yeah. On-screen fact checking.
Yeah, Double Fine was Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2. Yeah. And then things like Grim Fandango, Day of the Tentacle, Brutal Legend.
Oh, they were great games. Even Costume Quest. Surprisingly good series of games. The Keeper, a little bit weird, but quite enjoyed that one actually. Didn't realize that was Double Fine.
I really enjoyed Brutal Legend back on, I think it was like PS3. The soundtrack alone just carried that game, I think.
Didn't they re-release that for free recently?
I'm not sure. It was like a odd mashup of third-person action and RTS that was this strange niche little game, but it worked really well, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, if you have Ozzy as a voice actor, come on now.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty easy marketing.
Jack Black and Ozzy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so moving on to Sony's buyer remorse here. We've seen the final sunset of Destiny 2, which paradoxically seems to have increased the game's popularity. I'm not sure if this is people just wanting to experience it before it goes officially end of life, but if you look at the Steam charts, it's got a rather peculiar spike.
Yeah, I saw the player count absolutely skyrocketed, and a lot of people were making the contrast to Sony ditching the money into Destiny 2, which had a player count of this, and trying to do more to Marathon, which had a player count slowly doing this. And yeah, there's a lot of... I don't know if Moment of Triumph was intentional, seeing as I'm fairly sure that the developers at Bungie weren't aware of the pull until it happened. But
yeah. I'm not sure.
DLC.
Indeed. I'm not sure where I heard this, and this is exceptionally poor journalism on my part. It's like, yeah, I think I heard about this thing, but it was like a 24-hour notice that they were pulling the plug on Destiny 2.
I don't even know how that went down.
I mean, large companies have silos. But evidently, content development has frozen completely, and we're officially end-of-lifing D2. Which, it's had quite the run, but my understanding of it is the player base has been increasingly salty with the development choices that have been going on in that game for quite some time. I know Mrs. Squid and I loved the first Destiny. I would solo run raids because I'm that kind of psychopath. We tried to play D2. It just never really got its hooks in us after the first season.
I was pretty much the same. I played quite a lot of the first Destiny. 2, I didn't make it much further than the tutorial. Just the general vibe of it just didn't land for me.
Agreed. Oh, no, I just fact-checked this. But provided that this source is also accurate. They found out about the permanent end of live support at the exact moment that the public blog post went live. So, congratulations, have a surprise.
Wow.
I mean, maybe this is just the like late stage capitalism hellscape that I'm accustomed to at this point, but like that's a lot even for major Globocorps.
Yep, considering the size of the studio and the fact they all seem so blindsided by it is just, that's a hell of a pivot.
Yeah, I do think that likely has a lot to do with the $766 million asset impairment that Sony wrote down for Bungie in the past fiscal. That's quite the parenthetical red number on your books.
Yeah. And what was it Sony paid to buy it? Was it close to $4 billion or something like that?
I don't recall off the top of my head. Hold on. Let's double check.
Like that. Oh, it's in your notes.
$3.6 billion in 2022. So in addition to the $3.6 billion acquisition, they have a $766 million write-down. I can understand at least why Sony is deciding to play things a little bit closer to the vest with the first-party titles. But I would still have preferred to have seen like, okay, they have a little bit of Sony exclusivity period, and like 3, 6, 12 months later, you release it to PC. That would be ideal. But I can understand why the suits would be making the choices they are, as anti-consumer and unfortunate as it is.
Yep. You'd hope maybe they'd learn from this a bit more, that, like you said, the console war being over might have helped. But
yeah, but when you have
a bit questionable.
$750 million drawdown, the suits tend to panic.
I mean, I'm panicking. It's not even mine.
Yeah, fair. So do we want to pivot over to new releases coming out and talking about like summer, fall? Because September in particular is absolutely stacked. I know a couple games have actually delayed release because they didn't want to try to compete with just how dense September's going to be.
Yeah, there's the classic GTA scare, wasn't there? Everyone always shifted every time GTA had a release window. Everyone was like, "Nah, I don't want to be there." I've drawn a blank again. Sorry.
I know, like Wolverine is coming September 15th. New Fire Emblem on the 17th. Dune Awakening is purportedly getting its UE5 update and 1.0 release on the 22nd. Control Resonant on the 24th. New Silent Hill also on the 24th. Ace Combat 8 in October. And the thing I'm perhaps most excited about out of that list is the Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen expansion on October 9th. Mrs. Squid is going to be rather cranky because that's the day before our anniversary.
I mean, it has co-op, doesn't it?
Fair.
Does it?
Does it? I'm not sure.
I genuinely
can't
remember how the pawn system worked, but maybe it didn't. I might be thinking of a different Dragon's Dogma game.
Yeah, the pawn system basically let you rent your pawns out to other people to level them up.
That was it. I think in terms of other bigger ones as well for the summer, there is Halo Combat Evolved. Isn't that late July?
Oh, yeah, the UE5 remake of Halo. I'd be curious to see how it performs just because of the usual UE5 bugbears. But I heard that they're introducing like grip more skulls, and after you find a couple of them on each map, you can then like remix the campaign where enemies that normally wouldn't show up during that portion of the mission or even on that mission at all will show up, and introduce new mutators and a bunch of other nifty things. So we'll see if it's worth playing through the campaign again for the 8,000th time.
I think the thing will be is if you play through it again, do you still remember where everything is? That's how you figure out how locked down that information is.
Indeed. Yeah, my younger sibling and I, tail end of last year, played through Combat Evolved, the PC version, and we just immediately fell back into the old rhythms from the original Xbox. Like, we still hate the library, and the beach level is still the best.
I think that's also a testament to how good a game can be, that if you get into the rhythm that easily after so long, that it's stuck around.
Agreed.
That's good.
It's almost like how the last thought that will cross my brain before I depart this mortal coil will be the location of Mancrick's wife in World of Warcraft, just because that lives there forever now. But other things coming out, I think I saw Doom the Dark Ages getting DLC on July 7th. We, of course, have the Black Flag remake, which I will be playing a grip of on July 9th. I also heard that they're introducing new shanties. So I'm a fan. Anytime you get more shanties, like more shanties is better than fewer shanties. The rumor I'd heard about when they were recording these new ones and remastering it was they got a choir into the recording studio and basically told them that, like, okay, just go ahead. We're going to do a test record here just to make sure the mic levels are all good. Just don't full send it, right? And then they had them do the actual record, but they wound up using the test record because I don't know what your opinion of it is I don't think pirates were particularly accomplished singers. So they wound up using the imperfect take and just didn't tell them.
I mean, I think whether or not they meant to do that in the first place, like from the get-go, I think is just absolute genius, because the shanties, you sing along anyway, it's all out of tune, you're all having fun, and I think you get a lot more character from something like that where everyone's just kind of having a go. So I think that's absolutely top tier. That's amazing.
I mean, and plus they're working songs. So like if you pay attention to the tempo of it, they actually go along with how you would interact with the rigging and lines on a ship. So you're going to be out of breath, probably, and certainly not singing on key 100% of the time.
No. Well,
let's see. Other notable things coming up. In just a couple days, we have the Skitarii update for Darktide, which I've reinstalled and remodded Darktide. Dropped a short yesterday, at least as of this recording, with a 1-click or 2-click installation guide for mods. So it fixes a lot of the problems that Darktide normally has with its UI. I know I'm excited for the Skitarii, rad weapons, and just off camera back there, I just accidentally created the Soy Jack meme. Like 2,000 points in Mechanicus on my shelf. So anytime I can get some cog boys in my life, I'm a fan.
So I did see the short yesterday, and admittedly, I did sort of cry in console to start with. But yeah, now that I've got Darktide as well, I don't think it came with was it the Arbides update and it was the crazy 2-gun person after that.
The Hive Scum.
Hive Scum, that's it. So I don't think it comes with either of those. But I think I might splash out for the Skitarii one, because that does sound quite interesting.
Yeah, I skipped the Hive Scum, but I did wind up picking up the Arbides. They were silly overpowered at release, even with like a third of their talents being broken. Since then, they've been more into line, but they're still quite strong. And it's always going to be fun to tell a Cyber Mastiff to go chomp on that thing over there, you know?
Yeah. And biggest selling point for me is a massive Judge Dredd fan. So anything Arbides, which is pretty much a parallel to Judge Dredd, I'm there.
Let's see. In terms of other like ancient news at this point, there was the 20-minute gameplay demo of God of War Le Fay. That was back as part of like Summer Games Fest. I know portions of the internet are kind of pissed off about it, but like, I don't know. I'm excited. It looks like her moveset is going to be dope.
Yeah, I remember watching I had heard rumors that there was going to be a Faye game that sort of came out in the state of play, and I wasn't disappointed by anything. I thought it was just everything you'd expect from the more recent God of War games, just like slightly more mixed with almost like Devil May Cry, like high flying, a little bit more impactful combat. And yeah,
I mean, you don't go into a God of War game expecting like masterful storytelling or like immersion. It's a bonus when you get it, especially with the last 2 Dad of War titles. But it's almost like when you go to see a Transformers movie by Michael Bay, you don't expect Shakespeare. You expect like lens flares, explosions, and city smashing robots, you know? And I think if Le Fay can deliver on that pure spectacle of combat while also adding in like a tangential story that helps flesh out more of that world, I don't see how they could go wrong, honestly.
I agree. I think it's a great choice. I think it's a good direction, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it come out.
Agreed. So, shall we wrap things up here with rumors, leaks, and speculation?
Sounds good.
So, rumor mill says that Steam machines are actually in stock in warehouses right now on the US, but because of the current landscape, they can't sell it at a reasonable price because of our new AI overlords and them sucking up all of the RAM and storage everywhere. And evidently, they would need to price it so prohibitively expensive that no one would wind up purchasing it. So Steam Valve rather, is basically just going to be sitting on the stock until something changes in the landscape, and then we can hopefully get a Steam machine.
That's quite a shame, to be fair, because as a mainline console player, something like the Steam machine, even though I use GeForce, but Steam machine still was incredibly unattractive for somebody like me to be able to sort of lean into a few more things, because GeForce is great, but I lose out on modding, and modding can be fun.
I mean, plus then you're also even more removed from the path of ownership of the things that you're buying, bringing it all the way back to the beginning here of the Stop Killing Games initiative. Evidently, we've got a review embargo for this coming Tuesday, the 23rd, and retail pricing and pre-orders supposed to go live sometime between the 22nd and the 30th. Now, I really don't see how they could sell it at anything less than $1,000 based on the hardware that's in it. At that point, I almost wonder if it wouldn't be quotey fingers better for people just to splash out the extra like $300-$400 and build a dedicated PC at that point.
I'd agree, especially if this is meant to be sort of like a bit of an entryway into the console wars. Like the PS5 Pro is already around that mark. So, like you say, yeah, adding a few more just to buy a PC seems far more attractive than going for the console.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're fortunate enough to live somewhere close to a Micro Center, which is a US-based PC specific, like they do everything tech. Their bundles in particular are stupidly good value. Like up until recently, you could get a bundle with a 9800X3D, a motherboard, and 32 gigs of RAM for like $700.
Damn, I might as well book a plane ticket.
Yeah, at that point, yeah. Book a plane ticket to come to Micro Center, whereas if you need medical care, you book a plane ticket to go somewhere else. Or at least like leave the US to get medical care somewhere else.
That's why I'll book a return.
Let's see. I think we saw that marketing was going to ramp up for GTA 6 after the announcement for pre-orders. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah. So I believe 25th of June pre-orders. I think they said there is going to be another pre-order trailer, which is that trailer 3, alongside the pre-order window, and I'm assuming the price. I've not seen anything around whether or not the alleged $100 baseline price is still a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Although Rockstar does have the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever and sell it for like $40.
I feel if they did that, it would probably be the most sold game in the last 2 decades. I don't even think that's an exaggeration.
Plus, it would be a thumb in the eye to the rest of the industry, like Nintendo's trying to double down on the $80 games. Do I think this is going to happen? Absolutely not. Do I think it would be hilarious? Absolutely yes. The thing that caught my eye, specifically about GTA 6, was the delay between console and PC, because I'm not going to play it on my base PS5. I'm just going to wait for it to come out on PC. Instead of the usual 1-year delay that GTA titles have had historically, we're only looking at a 3-month delay. So it's going to be February 27.
I do wonder what that will do then to their console sales, because like I say, 3-month delay, I feel like a lot of people will wait. Like, I'll have to get it on PS5 because I don't have a choice. But that's quite a small gap.
I wonder.
Sorry, go on.
I wonder if maybe they're seeing the decreased purchasing power globally for consumers, and they're just trying to get any purchases they can within that same fiscal year. Because depending upon when Rockstar's fiscal year goes, I could see maybe doing the February release as getting it in just before the tail end of their fiscal to boost that year's numbers.
Yeah, it's true. But then equally, I mean, we all know GTA 6 is going to sell. So maybe they would have been better putting it at the beginning of their next fiscal year, just to try and, because a lot of people I think are going to play GTA 6 and then go back to GTA Online, because it's not launching with online, is it? As far
No,
as
I don't think so.
So
I wonder if
jump back.
Yeah, I wonder if GTA Online is going to coincide with that February PC release.
That'd be smart, because that's predominantly where a lot of their players would come from for it. So
yeah,
again,
and the thing that has kept GTA Online going is like all the modding scene there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. A lot of fun.
Let's see, other things we got. Code Veronica remake announcement is the same studio that did the RE2 and RE4 remakes. Now, I've completely missed the boat on Resident Evil. The first one I'm going to have played in decades will be when we do the spooky season playthrough of RE9. Are you more familiar with the series there, Zen?
For better or for worse, yes, I own Resident Evil 4 on every platform it ever came out on.
So
ever.
Yes.
Including remakes.
So that's your Skyrim, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Skyrim's also my Skyrim, but yes. So I've been a massive follower of Resident Evil since the first one. I've got very vivid memories of playing it with my uncle. Used to be a very childhood-centric sort of pastime of ours, going through some of the older fixed camera ones all the way up to the more modern over-the-shooter ones. I'm very glad it's made by the people who did RE2 and 4, because 3 was questionable, the remake. Veronica X was one of my favorite Resident Evil games of all time. So again, the fact that's getting a remake, I mean, it had been rumored for a while, and I was kind of verging on the side of copium that it was never going to happen. But I'm incredibly excited for it.
I don't think we have an official release date for that yet, but it's going to be in fiscal year 2027 for Capcom. So at the worst, we have a year and 6 months to wait.
Which would make sense, because RE9 still got at least 2 DLCs, I think, in it. There's meant to be what's the more story-focused DLC. There's the mercenary stuff that's coming around. So that'd line up.
Yeah. And rounding things off for us here, we have Squeenix deciding to give Sony the finger with PlayStation exclusivity. Imagine that deal was particularly expensive, but the finale of the trilogy of the Final Fantasy VII remake, I think this one is Revelation, will launch across PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, Steam, and Epic all at the same time.
Yeah, and again, I think they've hopefully learned, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's sales were so minimal, I think, because of that console exclusivity. I think this is going to be hopefully a great end to the trilogy for the 3.
That would be nice. Have the other 2 come to PC yet? Now that we're talking about it, I haven't even checked.
The first one is I believe Rebirth is. Let's do another live fact check. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That might be worth.
Rebirth is on sale.
Really?
At the time of recording. Probably the same sale that I picked it up for on PlayStation. Now that
Let's
think
see
about
what
it,
we got here. $20 US. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's about
for the remake and Rebirth for 32.
It's also good. I'm guessing it comes with integrate as well.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
And just to sort of continue hype with the exclusivity ending, Tifa's evidently going to be in Street Fighter 6 as a guest character for year 4. It's been a long time since I've been into fighting games, just because, well, I don't have the time nor the desire to work out frame perfect everything, which is necessary to be competitive in those titles at this point.
No, same. I think the last kind of arguably competitive fighter game I played was probably Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I enjoy the games, but yeah, I'm definitely not in those for a competitive nature.
Yeah, I think the last one I played was like Soul Cal 4. And Mrs. Squid just juggled me for days with the character that had the tonfa. And I was just like, all right, no, we're done. We're done. There will be marital disputes if we continue to play this.
The sake of marriage is everywhere. Know when to stop.
So that kind of wraps up everything I had planned. We already kind of talked about what we were excited to come down the pike. I know we're going to be playing a grip of Darktide when that drops on Tuesday. Do we have anything else we want to cover, or should we wrap things up?
I think it's a good spread.
Yeah. So this is, as I said at the outset, very much a pilot episode to see if this is a thing that we want to continue doing. So let us know down in the comments. If you made it this far, probably you're a fan. So give us some feedback on what works, what doesn't, what you want to see us focus on more, and your thoughts about any of the stories that we dropped today. Other than that, I've been BaldSquid. I'll see y'all next time. Zen, good to chat, as always.
Absolute pleasure.
All right. Take care, y'all.